Hello everybody and welcome to part 10 in my Richard Laymon horror novel review series. Today I'm going to be talking about 1988's Resurrection Dreams. Here is the front cover. There is the spine. It's a mid-sized novel. And here is the back, which I will read. Excuse me. It says, Melvin was definitely the biggest creep in Ellsworth High, and the other kids mercilessly taunted him for his odd looks and weird behaviour. Vicky was the only one to stand up for him, but even she had to admit he'd gone too far when he dug up a body and attempted to bring it back to life with the aid of a car battery. Years later, Vicky still has nightmares about Melvin's joke, and now she's back in Ellsworth, she knows she'll have to see him again. Recently released from a mental institution, Melvin is acting stranger than ever. His experiments with the dead have progressed, and as soon as he can get Vicky, or rather her body, where he wants her, he can realise his most chilling dream of all. Okay, so my previous review, I spoke about 1987's Flesh, and I had said that that was not only one of Richard Laymon's greatest books, but it was also the beginning of an amazing stretch of novels that he would go on up till about 1992, 93, 94. But within that amazing stretch of novels, he did write a couple of relatively minor ones, and this is one of those minor ones. It's fun, it really is, but it is also one of Richard Laymon's silliest books. And one of the reasons it's silly is because it's a very rare example of Laymon writing a book which involves the supernatural, and that was not when he was at his best, in my opinion. The supernatural here involves this young creep, as they call him on the back, Melvin, who for some reason is obsessed with resurrecting the dead. And the book opens with a rather gruesome death, a car accident which kills a couple of people. And Melvin digs up the corpse and has this, I think he's about 16 years old, he's at high school. And he has some grand master plan to resurrect the corpse of this dead girl at his school's science fair, like a live show. Obviously, it doesn't work, and he gets institutionalized. And he's released some years later and goes back into the community, works in a petrol station. And he's still obsessed with resurrecting the dead. And at first, it wasn't really clear to me why he's so obsessed with this, but it turns out, and I probably should have seen this coming because it's a Richard Laymon book, it turns out that you don't only resurrect the dead in this book, you resurrect sex slaves. You know, they come back from the afterlife madly devoted and in love and in lust with the guy who's resurrected them. So Melvin here is, you know, he's creating his teenage boy fantasy of having a perfectly compliant good woman do his every bidding. The other main character is Vicky, who Melvin is obsessed with, and he really wants her. He's resurrected 1, 2, or 3 women before, but those were just for practice. His real aim is to have Vicky as his zombie sex slave for all of eternity. It's Laymon had a couple of novels which are very popular among fans because they're all about story. And this, to be fair to it, is one of those. It's very fast-paced. I think, again, I read this one, as I read a lot of his short books, in one go. Certainly in one day. And it is a lot of fun. It's in the middle part, when he does achieve his dream of being able to resurrect, he uses some magical ritual thing, which, you know, doesn't make much sense, but it never is going to make sense when you're dealing with resurrecting the dead. Things took a turn there into the very silly, but this is probably Laymon's closest thing to a horror comedy. This is like if a film company was going to make this, adapt this, it would be someone like Trauma. It has that same kind of bizarre humor going on, and you're not supposed to take this at all seriously. And if it's read on that level with those expectations, it can be a very fun ride. It's not really one of my favorites because I just don't find the story all that interesting. And a lot of it is taken up with this nerdy little creep Melvin and his tiresome and tedious teenage sex fantasies. And I think Laymon was kind of aiming this at the you know, like every school has that Stephen King geek who's like the outcast, and he's like inside seething with rage and rejection and all that. I think like Melvin was Laymon's attempts to write the Stephen King geek. But because Laymon isn't the greatest at characterization, it does tend to sometimes just be a lot of repetitive sex obsessions and teenage moping. But it's still a fun read, like I said. I don't really have a great deal more to say about this one because it is a very minor work from his great period. It has one of the most contrived endings I've ever read. You know, Vicky had some boyfriend in her past who she lost touch with, and we very briefly learn about that, and then he's pretty much, this lost boyfriend is never brought up again until the, you know, very, very, very end, when this is an ending that nobody reading this book asked for or wanted or was expecting, because we'd all forgot about this guy. Where the hell did he come from? Why did Laymon think that this is the ending we all wanted to see? I have no idea, but anyway, Resurrection Dreams from 1988, one of the less great books from his great period, but still a decent, you know, this will fall somewhere in the middle of my final ranking at the end of this series. So give it a read if you're into zombie fiction. Give it a read if you like reading about kind of high school horror. Give it a read if you enjoy very kind of comic horror novels. Give it a read. That's, you know, that's all I'll say. It's short. You won't spend a lot of time on it. Right, that's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching if you did watch this far, and I will be back soon with number 11 in the series. So take care, everybody, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.